Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 16 is entitled as Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the divine and demonic nature. Sloka 4, Part 3. Dambho darpo bhimānaś krodhaḥ pāruṣyam ajñānaṁ cābhijātasya pārtha sampadam āsurīm. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demonic nature, O son of Pṛthā. In the last two sessions, we learnt about dambho and darpo. Now, let's see the third one, bhimānaś. It is said, swavidya abhijana ananuguna abhimānaḥ. That is, conceit. Conceit meaning an excessively favorable opinion of one's own ability, importance. That is abhimāna or atimāna. When we saw the 26 qualities of divine person, the last one that we learned is nātimanita, not being excessively proud of oneself for no reason. That is, some person will be too proud of themselves than they deserve to be, and that is the person we are talking about in this sloka. There is mana and atimana. Mana of one's birth, education, etc. can be tolerated to some extent, but that is not tolerated when it becomes atimana, excessive, totally out of harmony with one's learning, lineage, wealth, etc. One's speech and action should be appropriate to one's age. It is said in the scripture that vayasaha karmanaha arthasya shrutasya abhijanascha vesha vāk vritti sārupyam ācharan vicharet iha. One must dress, talk, and conduct himself according to his age, occupation, wealth, education, and family. When it is not done in this manner, when things are done excessively, then it is called atimana. The culture and tradition is when the elder speaks, the younger ones are kept away or keep themselves away from the discussion, or they stay as a quiet listener unless and until they have been asked to speak. A person is said to be atimana when he acts inappropriately to his age, his education, and so forth. Such a character is said to be a nature of asura. As long as one stays within the boundary of their age, education, etc., they are safe. When they go beyond that, then that is called asura bhava, atimānaḥ. The fourth in the list is krodhaḥ, parapīḍha phalachitta vikāraḥ, anger which could cause injury to others. In the second chapter, we learned the cause of anger. Dhyayato vishayan pumsah sangathe supajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho abhijayate. While a person contemplating the objects of senses for enjoyment, a person develops attachment towards such objects, sense objects, from which such attachment, kama, lust, develops. When that lust is not satisfied, fulfilled, anger arises. an unfulfilled desire turns into anger. The anger is shown to that person who became an hindrance to fulfill that desire, that karma. And the outcome of anger is krodhaḥ bhavati sammohaḥ, sammohas smriti vibhramaḥ, smriti bhramsat buddhināśo, buddhināsat pranaśyati. From anger, delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory happens. When the memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. Anger is an outburst of things that we cannot accept upon, that we are unable to bear anything that doesn't please us, is shown in the form of anger. There are few facts that makes one angry. We get or show our anger to others because one of these reasons. Number one, to prove that I am unhappy with you, with someone. Number two, to take revenge for what has happened to oneself. Number three, to make others miserable, to make others unhappy. And an important point to note is we show our anger when we think the person is weaker than us or the person is equal to us, or in cases where we have an upper hand. So anger is exhibited only to people who fall into this category. I won't be able to take revenge against someone who is powerful than me. If a person is weaker than me, then I try to show my anger. For example, if a housefly keeps coming to my ears and I try to drive it away, it still keeps coming to me. Then I get angry towards the housefly and try to destroy that. But say when a lion comes in front of me, I don't try to make an attempt to drive the lion away, show my anger, or to prove the lion how much I am unhappy with it, or try to make lion miserable, feel unhappy by showing my anger. Rather, I try to take a submissive position to save my life by running away. Also, we don't try to show our anger to someone who is mentally disordered. So from this we can understand, we try to show our anger to someone who is able to understand our anger and try to respond to our anger in some way or the other. I will not get angry on someone to prove that I am unhappy if that is not going to change the other person's mentality. If that person is going to be the way he is or she is, then there is no point for me to show my anger to that person. I will rather simply ignore the situation and move on. Also, I will not get angry on someone to make that person feel miserable, unhappy, if that person never gets defensive or disturbed. There are people who never respond to any such situation. They stay quiet, they don't talk, they don't respond. To such people, I will not be able to show my anger, because that's not going to change that person, it's not going to disturb that person, it is not going to make that person feel miserable. So, my anger, krodha, becomes fruitful only when it can injure others. Therefore, before we get tuned into angry mode, we must think all these things. But the problem is, when the situation happens, we have no time to do an analysis of the event. We try to quickly react to the situation and respond to the situation by showing our anger. If someone is angry towards me, I try to double my anger to show the other person how much more upset and angry I am than that person. Maybe after a few minutes, we may have some realization, some understanding that our action was wrong, but it may be too late. Nevertheless, one may feel guilty, one may accept one's mistake, or one may even seek for forgiveness for their behavior. But mostly, due to our ego, it prevents us to accept our mistake. Rather, we try to justify our anger is valid. Even though we may ask for forgiveness, but internally we may think, I am right. But let me take an humble position, which means we are still maintaining the mood of anger on a subtle level, a mood of dissatisfaction within us, with the other person. So what is the solution? It is said, maunam. Silence at times is the best remedy for such situation. A person is considered to be great based on how much he tolerates a situation, especially an unfavorable situation, such as this one. When one fails to tolerate the situation and try to react, the outcome is miserable. As we already saw from the second chapter what Krishna said, one falls down into this material pool, which means there's a further entanglement to suffer more. Sometimes we hear that when you get angry, count certain numbers to cool oneself down. But the problem is, after the countdown is done, the anger comes back to the surface most of the time, or the traces of anger is still there within us. We have not forgiven the event, the person who is the cause of our anger. One may think, well, all these are very difficult to apply in practicality, in practical life. It's quite fearsome when we think about the outcome of anger, as Krishna said. So the solution is, the only solution and the best solution is to engage one's mind in the qualities, in the auspicious qualities of the Lord. It is said in Taittiriya Upanishad, Etasmin nadrshe natme nirukte nilayane bhayam pratishtam vindate atoso bhayam gato bhavati. Etasmin nudaramantaram kurute tatasya bhayam bhavati. Tatveva bhayam viduso manvahanasya tatebhyesha sloko bhavati. The only solution for one to be free of anger and fear is to contemplate on the Lord's auspicious qualities and be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. One may try all different possible anger management or artificially try to show and feel fearlessness, but none of those things are going to be a solution, permanent solution, other than to contemplate, to meditate on the qualities of the Lord and to engage in His devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pārtha Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu, Bhaktis Chin Navalakshana. Hearing and chanting the holy name, the form, the qualities, and the pastimes of Krishna. Remembering them, serving the Lord's lotus feet, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him. That is, serving Him with body, mind, and words. There is no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way to escape the clutches of Maya, to be free from anger, to be free from bhaya, fear, to cultivate good qualities that have been mentioned in the first 3 slokas of this chapter. We must have heard story of Jada Bharata from Srimad Bhagavatam, when King Raghuguna showed his anger to Jada Bharata, threatening him to be punished, scolding him with all heavy words. Still, Jada Bharata was undisturbed. As far as he concerns, Jada Bharata is a realized soul. He knows that he is not the body. All the accusation, all those things has been said by King Raghuguna is related to the body. He knows that he is not the body. So how does it matter for him to react to the situation? He was only concerned about he himself, Jivatma, being connected always with Paramatma. He was always in the thought of the Lord. So others' words, others' action, others' anger is not going to disturb him. We also heard from his story earlier, he was captured by the dacoits to be offered to the goddess Kali. At that time, he was honored with nice bath, nice garments, with nice scents, garlands, etc. But he was not carried by such honors. Over here, in case with Raghuguna, Jadabharata was chastised, but he was not disturbed. So whether it was an honor or whether it was a dishonor, Jadabharata was not disturbed by either one of them. If he gets carried away by honor or carried away by dishonor, that moment he is disconnected from the Lord, which he doesn't want to. This he has learned from his previous life experience, so he doesn't want to repeat the same mistake over here again. In the case of Jadabharata, he was able to remember the previous lives. In our case, we don't remember our previous life. That doesn't mean that we did not have previous life. The proof of our previous life is the outcome of our current events in our life, the pains and pleasures that we are going through. So it is not necessary that every one of us must remember our previous life to come to a realization. If we are in a critical situation and admitted into an ICU, we don't inquire about the doctor, we don't inquire and investigate about the medicine that's been given to us. We are in a serious condition. All we need to be focused is to somehow or the other get out of the ICU, the intensive unit. Similarly, we are in this material world as an ICU. Rather than questioning, analyzing what happened in my previous life, we are in a critical stage and we must try to get out of this dangerous place. So the more we engage our senses of hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, tasting in the service of the Lord, our bad qualities of anger, pride, envy, lust, etc. will go away. We will be free of fear. In Mundaka Upanishad, it is said, Vidyate hridaya grantihi chidyante sarva samshayah kshiyante chasya karmani tasmin driste paravare. That is, when we see the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna eye to eye, the knot in the heart is pierced. All misgivings are cut to pieces, and the chain of our karma is terminated. We will have no more doubts, confusion in life. All our attachments are unknotted. That is, we will be detached, and all our anadi karma, the karmas that we have collected for many lifetimes, are completely terminated, burnt into ashes. It is only because our purva karma vasanas, we get attached to things, or we reject certain things, and we develop a sense of fear of losing something that we like, or gaining something that which we don't like. Say a child is sleeping on its mother's lap. The child gets a dream of being chased by a tiger, and the child starts screaming. Then the mother taps on the child to bring back the child to reality. So the child was fearful of something when it was not seeing its own mother. As soon as it sees its mother, the fear is gone. The child becomes very happy, joyful. Similarly, we are also sleeping, not realizing that we are under the protection of the Supreme Lord. The sleeping for us is being entangled in bodily conception of life, thinking I am to be this body, things that related to this body are mine. When my body and mind is satisfied, I am happy. When my body and mind are disturbed, I am unhappy. This takes us into an emotional ride. So the solution is to wake up. For now, see the Lord through His scriptures, through the Vedas, and in His deity forms. Chant His name, hear His pastimes, hear His instructions, and sincerely try to follow them. That will be our awakening of soul, turning towards Krishna. Tasmin driste paravare. Driste, when we see the Supreme Lord, all our problems are solved. The inauspicious things cannot stay in front of the Lord, because He is all auspicious. So let's try to be connected with the Lord 24/7, 365 days, rest of our life, by chanting His holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and hear His glories and pastime as much as possible to keep our mind and body fully engaged in His service. In that way, we'll be free of fear and we'll be free of anger. One last point that we need to know is anger, when it's applied for valid reason, then it is accepted. A king showing an anger to a criminal is not inappropriate. Parent trying to show their anger to their child to correct the child for its betterment is not inappropriate. A guru trying to show his anger to his disciple to correct the disciple's mistake is not inappropriate. They all do this as a service to others, not out of ego. So this covers 4 out of 6: dambha, darpa, bhimānaś, and krodhaḥ. Next, in our session, we will learn about pāruṣyam and ajñānaṁ. Namaste. Hare Krishna.